Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole. I am so excited to be with you today. We have a very special show, as always, but this one just feels extra special because it is a global program where we're bringing to you a very special project that's music from around the world. It is called Black Lives from Generation to Generation. And there are 25 musicians from the United States, the Caribbean, and Africa who each have composed a song to fight against systemic racism in the world. I mean, this is important, timely, and to get 25 composers from all over the world to come together in order to sing a song of possibility in 25 different ways is really something. So, the impulse behind this project is to give Black lives a voice and to listen to what they have to say. And I'll tell you a little bit about there are two people who are going to join us today. The first is Stefany Calembert, who is the executive producer. And one of the things that she says is, I have witnessed racism all my life and have often been deeply disturbed by the air of superiority and the hypocrisy of white people. Even those who are not racist usually feel uncomfortable discussing the issue of racism, which remains a very taboo subject and a social ill we largely deny. As a white person, Stefany says, I wanted to do this project to open a dialogue about this worldwide mess. All too often, the Black community is left to battle on its own, but all of us must become aware of the daily reality of racism and the injustice and pain it inflicts. And her letter goes on, but that's a really beautiful statement of why this project came to be. So please join me in welcoming executive producer Stefany Calembert.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, very well. And congratulations, Stefany, on creating this very special musical project that launches today.
Wow,
Today.
thank you. Thank you for having us because I think also it's a very important project to spread and it's for everybody. So I'm really happy to be with you.
Oh, and people do ask the question. So you stated it right up front. Why is a white person making a project about this? So I've read your statement, but let's talk about it a little more. What was happening in the world that made you feel that now was the time to do this project?
It was like a scream, at the moment we were in the middle of the pandemic. And before, let's say, the first part of my life, between my childhood and 20 years old, I traveled a lot in Caribbean, Africa, had many friends, from different cultures. And I witnessed racism with that part of my life. Then after, I went to United States around 24, I think I was 24, and there I met my husband Reggie, and of course I learned more and more of the racism in United States. And I was really in shock because at school nobody teaches nothing about what happened in United States. Even in Europe and Africa too, it's very taboo, but no one word, about that. So I was really shocked that at 20 years old I had no idea that all the history of America was built on killing, people that were living there, bringing other people and make them suffer, work, treat them really hard, and do things that were horrible. So I was like, okay, I have those two information of my own experience, and I really want to bring all these people that I cross in my life together. That it's with the music, of course, the composer, but also in my heart, because there are people that always stay, friend, family, and it's very important for me at the moment to scream this, because I'm white and I often have conversation with different people, what I say that are not racist, but that has always this idea of a black person. They know everything. They think black people are all the same. Like Reggie, when we are in Brussels, people think he's African because he's black, which makes no sense. You can be from many different places, but there are many things like that that makes me think, wow, this problem is even bigger than what I thought. So how can I express it? The best way is to bring people from different generation, different places. Even in United States, you have artists from many different cities in United States, and have their voice to really express how we feel today. Because I have my own opinion, but I'm not black, so I cannot speak too much for black people. I can speak as a white person for the people, that's my generation, my ancestor, and speak about that and what I witnessed. But I cannot speak for somebody that
Sure.
had to live that and feel that all the time. So that was
Stephanie,
the
where are
main
you
drive.
from? Where are you from?
I'm from Brussels, Belgium, little country, very small country.
Because you said early on that you hadn't learned about racism, and in so is there no racism in Brussels?
No, it was more at school. I was meaning, at school, all the history that you learn
Ah,
is never about that. But there is a lot of racism. And that was my point when I did the CD. I explained also there is as much racism as Europe that in United States than other places, and often European like to put that on American. Like, did you see in
yes.
America what happened? And I saw many things, even with police brutality in Europe. I witnessed. I was there, and I'm pretty angry when I hear this, because Europe is as racist as America. It's just different. It's maybe more hypocrite, I will say also. And we have no guns here. It's different mentality, but the racism is really present. And I can tell few experience also that shocked me a lot. The last, I would say, 10, 15, 20 years, uh, even more when we travel with musicians, my daughters, my husband in Europe, of course in United States too. But all this was also to say it's everywhere. Stop making like there is nothing here. It's important
Well,
to.
and so just to break down a bit of what you're sharing and your personal story, well, for sure, in schools, and I know in the United States, now there's more exploration of racism, but even the whole notion of critical race theory being discussed is has caused such an uproar. But there's more discussion in academic settings now than perhaps in some moments in the past, but also in your family. So you married an African American, is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Three daughters. We have
And your
three
three
daughters.
daughters. So your family is having the experience that has occurred over many generations of having biracial children, and I'm sure sometimes having judgment passed on them. Uh, what would you say you have faced as a white woman with a black husband with biracial children? Just first-hand encounters of racism.
The first shocking thing I will say, it was when we didn't have our three daughter. I was with Reggie. We were home where we live right now, and the neighbor were making a little noise. So you ask them kindly, you go back a second time, and you ask again. And from there, the woman that was living there will say to me, "You with your nigger." So when I heard that, Reggie went to take a vacuum, and me too. We were so pissed off, and we say, "Well, we gotta stay quiet. The best way to go is to go police and make us, a paper, because it can end up very bad, and we want to spoke about that." To speak about that. So we did that, but of course police didn't give any suit to nothing. It was really unfair. It was nasty. It was not cool. And some other story with my daughters also that I witnessed were also with a neighbor, which is a cool neighborhood. This is why I say it's very bad to we gotta continue to speak about racism. It's a neighborhood pretty open, but you still have people that are really close. And that neighbor had two daughters, and the babysitter that came said to the mom, "Why you let your kids play with black kids? It's really, something." And when I heard that, I was really in shock. I said, "No, I cannot believe that in 2018, we were 2019, we still have to deal with that in Brussels, with really in a cool neighborhood." I mean, there is not many people that are thinking like that, but you see these people because they speak. And so there were other things at school where, little girls came to my daughter, and because have a brown skin, nobody love you. It's why no little boy are in love with you, and things like that. So at first, it really makes me think, okay, I have to do something, not only for Reggie and my daughter. I think it's many people that I saw suffer, all my friends, and people sometimes that I don't even know. You have more than enough stories everywhere in the world that are really, really painful. And so it was an addition of many things, and also the lack of conversation about that from white people. It disturbed me because each time I was speaking about certain things, even musicians in Belgium were telling me, no, racism is not there anymore. I think you overreact, that's always you overreact. And the fact to have different people told me that I was overreacting makes me even more think that I was right to make more things, to make things move, because it's not normal that when you defend people that are oppressed since 400 years, somebody tell you that, you overreact or you are too extreme. There is a big problem there too, and you got
Sure.
to put them back, at their place. And that was really something. How can I, express that myself the best ways? Of course, with all these musicians that have their own voice, their own experience, their own childhood, everything that is on this album also came, I think, really, really from deep heart, from
Sure. So,
long,
so
long.
I want to go a little deeper in your experience still, as a white woman, European woman, when you are with white friends, what are those conversations like about race? Do people want to have those conversations with you about race today and the kinds of challenges that people face?
The biggest part that I could see is the lack of information they have, thinking they know everything about black people or black history, and they know nothing. And so they want to, speak like they know. And I don't know enough either, but at least I recognize that I have a lot more to learn about, and that I speak about what I know. And that's the main problem often when I hear too many voices, that it's even at school with other parents, sometimes in the family with cousins, or different, even if they are not racist at all. It's really disturbing to hear certain things like, black women are not really my style. This is disturbing to me, to hear. So I will say something, and then other thing like generalize, like, yeah, but in America, maybe it's also because they don't want to show their gun, when the cop come, and they don't commit, so this happens. So always find thousands of excuse to any act of racism, which, at the moment also get very tiring, because they
Sure.
cannot recognize that I don't see one white people recognize we fucked up. There is something we really, and we continue to fucked up. It's been years and years and years and years that these people are oppressed, beat, it's too many things. And then you continue to be angry at the same people for their color, so there is really I think a psychological problem to cure in white community. And it's important, and this is why also I say, if nobody speaks, somebody got to speak, because
Sure.
anybody,
And
and
so here's a question for your girls. How old are they now?
2, 8, and 13.
So the 13-year-old probably has enough awareness and agency to address these things. I mean, what kinds of challenges does she face as it relates to race?
She really strong, because she see Reggie and me always telling her that the most important in life is to be righteous, whoever you are, be righteous, be correct with people. So she knows, she see different situation, and I think she's really proud of who she is, and she's learning little by little also. But she has that strength to say, I'm black and I'm not afraid, even if there is 20 white women in front of me in my class, or in different situation. I assume 100% who I am. So that's for sure something. But she's like that also, not only about race. She's like that, I think, also generally. So it helps her. The one of 8 years old, she's still wondering what is happening, why people are arguing, why, what do they have, I don't understand. And so this is really also something that at home we discuss a lot, this subject, because I think it's part of life that it's creates so many problems in the world and in the business and at school, and just to try to have respect, for each other. This is really really the main thing that people should think today, and question themselves, their past, and know more about their story, and accept when you did, even if, because that's always the thing people say, it wasn't me, I wasn't there, it's not my problem, even if I'm white, I have nothing to do with it, which is wrong, because usually when you see something that doesn't work well, you got to speak also. You cannot just
It.
leave slowly, quit the room, put the door very nice, and disappear. That's not cool. You got to also accept certain thing and face it, and that also, I think, it's a big problem for their pride, but the privilege they have, they certainly have afraid to lose it, to say, wow, what happened if we are equal now? What will happen,
And
and
what that indeed is the question. Let me remind folks, you're listening to Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole here on WBAI in New York City. That's 99.5 FM and everywhere online at WBAI.org. We are having the pleasure to talk about a wonderful new piece of music that is called Black Lives from Generation to Generation. 25 musicians from the United States, the Caribbean, and Africa each compose a song to fight against systemic racism in the world. It's really a beautiful project filled with music that is launching today. We get to talk about it on the very day that it is launching. And with us today, we have the executive producer, Stefany Calembert, who's been talking to us about, realities of in her own life and world dealing with racism, being a woman from Brussels married to an African American man, having three daughters, who are navigating being biracial children in a world that we would think would be welcoming at this point, and is not always welcoming. But also, Stefany, you brought up another point that has come up a lot recently, where as racial reckoning has come to the fore, and many people are addressing it more than they were in the past. One of the issues that comes up, especially for white folks who do not consider themselves to be racist, who think that they are conscious and on the right side of inclusion, and yet what is their history? What happened in their families? What is the history of our cultures? Because this musical project is across countries and cultures, and if you look across the world, you'll see that historically, all of us are tied in one way or another to slavery, because it crossed four continents for 400 years. And also in more recent times, just dealing with the remnants of that, which includes systemic racism. And so for you decided to create this project. How did you identify the artists that you would bring on board to take different looks creatively at racism, at systemic racism, and how to overcome it, to push past it? How did you select the artists to be a part of this project?
The artists, the I knew, let's say, the half of them, and I really trusted them because I heard their work as a sideman, as leader before, and of course, they are for the most part from the world of, you have Jeff Lee Johnson that I can mention, you have Roy Hargrove, you have Steve Coleman, you have Michelle DeGiosello, you have also D'Angelo. It's this world, this these people are, they work a lot together, I will say, and of course this music touched me a lot and give me the energy to move in my life, to make choice in my life, so at the moment I'm really thankful to all these musicians to have bring that, because it gives me the energy to continue my life positively, in a way that you can really advance every day. It push you, it gives you inspiration, it gives you strength. So from there I said, okay, let me see, ask different composer that I knew, and then other composer that I really love the music, like Emmanuel Wilkins.
Hmm.
That was somebody, as soon as I hear him, I directly love his music. So after, the thing was more to construct something that had different location and different generations. So I was thinking, okay, I have Oliver Lake that is 80 soon, Shekti
Wow.
Jansek that is 70, and Shekti Jansek come from Africa, and Oliver Lake come from St. Louis. So you have two same generation from two different place, and but they were as angry as the one of 25, 30 years old, about this subject. So it's like, it's very important to bring all generation to let them express what they have to say. So that was the two main thing, the location and the age, the generation also. And then, of course, I wanted more women, but it was really hard to find. And that's where Steph came. She was the first, Stefany McKay, to come and to say, I'm in, I'm coming. I didn't went in studio since 3 4 years, I think, but I'll be there and I'll come whatever happens. So I really thanks her for that too. And then slowly, we speak with Alicia Olmoran, that was also working with Reggie Washington on a different project. And I have a singer that I really like, in Belgium, that is from South Africa, that is really, really strong too. And slowly, all this went naturally. And I really appreciate also other composers that bring more women in the project, because a lot of women were all too busy. They have their project, they have their family. It was the middle of the pandemic. It was really hard. We had
I
to
was going to
teach.
ask you, so when did you have this idea? When did it
Yeah.
take root?
I had that idea really, I would say November, December 2020. So
Okay,
a
in the
little
heart of the
after,
pandemic.
yeah, yeah. And so after, I say it's just an idea, but we'll see, because since all companies had problem at that time, I knew I could have a loan that I have to reimburse from the government. And from there, I say, oh, I keep the money years, the time the pandemic goes better, or I
And
do some.
do you have a music production company? Is
I
that what you
have a
said?
label, and I book also some gigs. So I have an agency in Europe called Jamin Colors, and it's with this company that we create already 10 CD. That's the 11th CD that we did. And from there, of course, I thought, okay, it's a good idea to do something right now to give us all energy and unite us, because it was so hard for many, many reasons. I told myself we got to do something, but it was really that scream rage of about racism, and it was really also that sadness about all this pandemic, how we were all closed between four walls. So I reached out to the artist, and many told me, "Wow, it's been few months I didn't went back in studio. It's been months I didn't play." Some told me no, then it was yes. Some told me yes, then it was no. Things have changed, and so it was really
Well, it's such a
natural.
difficult period. I mean, what you're talking about. So the pandemic, we all got sent home on March 13th, 2020, which I'll never forget because my birthday is March 14th, and I thought I was going to be doing a special event on that day, and I was not. We were shut down.
Wow, yeah.
And then by November, it not only was it cold and dark because it's winter, it was also cold and dark because people were at home and feeling the isolation. There was a lot of illness around us. Work had come to a screeching halt for many,
And it
many
was,
people.
I remember also, every continent, Europe, Africa, and United States had curfew. It was
Yes,
really crazy. I
it
mean, hard
was.
to believe, very hard to believe. So it was even freaky.
Sure.
It
And
was,
so the thing about working in the music industry, I think, because I often talk about the marriage of technology and humanity can be a good thing if you balance it out. And so being able to make music and not have to be in the room with each other was, I'm sure, a blessing in this project because people could make their music wherever they were, and
yeah.
then share it with you.
It
Once you, yeah, go ahead.
it was a challenge for certain also, because you have to reinvent yourself.
Yeah,
There is no studio available. Someone in studio, some had, let's say, were used to record a little differently than in studio, but it was still complicated. And some, it was really an adventure. So it was many different situation, uh, all over the world, because somewhere in Africa, somewhere in Europe, somewhere in Guadeloupe, somewhere in United States. And definitely it had its advantage, because people also, the composer told me, they learn different thing about the way to play, what they, how they play. Like Emmanuel, he superposed many saxophone. He had that occasion, he never did that before. Andy Milne, he was on pause. He brings student, because the student was so demotivated, that he said, okay, I will do this song with three of my students, Kokai, and three of my students. And so they had to work, and it give them a little more energy. Andy too was telling me at first, it's been 8 months, I didn't do nothing, I don't know. And finally, they all came slowly together. It took, let's say, 1 or 2 months to define what they wanted to do.
sure,
So January, February, and then we say, okay, if you can record from beginning of February to end of April, and end of April to have the track, it will be great. So the most part of the song were between February and April 2021.
great,
And then Steph record, I think, the end, because she was on three song in May, something like that. And slowly we mix June, July, August, master September, early September. And then there was all the other part to
sure.
bring
It
it to the
takes so much
world.
in order to make music to come to the public. It is a process. Let me
I would
remind
have given all my skin, to be honest. I was ready, man. I was ready. We speak
and
about skin, it was the skin.
we are so grateful that you did it. Let me remind folks, you're listening to Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole here on WBAI in New York City. That's 99.5 FM and everywhere online at WBAI.org. This is Women's History Month. And one of the things that WBAI has been had put together, spent time to put together a flash drive that has, I think, over 1,000 hours. It's some crazy amount of content featuring women from the diaspora, women from history, sharing stories of empowering women over the generations. Coretta Scott King, June Jordan, Alice Walker, and many, many others whose stories are told sometimes by them, sometimes by others, to really inspire us to understand the power of women. And even today in 2022, I can assure you there are plenty of people who don't really get it, how powerful women are and have been throughout the generations. So this special compilation, it's on a flash drive, can be yours. We have created a special campaign during Women's History Month, where a special BAI buddy campaign. So many of you who are listening know that a BAI buddy is someone who makes a monthly contribution to the radio station to ensure that we can pay our bills. We can pay our gas, our electric, our phone, all those things that help to keep us alive, to take care of our staff and our building. And you can become a BAI buddy for as little as $15 a month and receive this special flash drive with so many wonderful tributes to women across the diaspora. We encourage you to make a donation today. You $15 or more per month, and you can make it in honor of Dreamleapers, this show, or just in general in honor of WBAI, which is 62 years old, everybody. We survived the pandemic. So many businesses did not. Not only the pandemic, there's so many things that we have survived, but to have a progressive radio station alive and well at a time looking across the world where many voices are being hushed, and we are not being hushed. We continue to be able to bring provocative content that gets you thinking, that fills your spirit, music that fills your spirit, like this compilation that we're talking about right now. So if you would like to support our beloved radio station, please make a connection with us by becoming a sustaining member, a BAI buddy. Make offering $15 or more per month. You will get this flash drive with all these women's stories on it. You will also get a WBAI tote bag just to show how much we love you. And you call us at 212 209 2950. I'll repeat the number. It's 212 209 2950. And you can also go online at give to the number 2 WBAI.org. And when you make that contribution, you make sure that we get to stay here for another year and hopefully another 62 years of providing great content. I would now like to invite another Stefany to join us, Stefany McKay, who is one of the 25 artists who is on this compilation. So I'd like to welcome Stefany McKay to the broadcast right now. Welcome, Stefany. Now, so there I have a Stefany Calembert and a Stefany McKay. So I'm going to call you all by your last name. So hello, McKay.
Hi, Harriette. It's an honor to be here with you. I've watched you for so many years. Thank you for your service, and thank you for all that you've done for culture and amplifying our voices.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. How did you get involved? So Stefany Calembert says you were the first woman to step up as one of the 25 artists who are part of this project. What drew you to the project?
Well, I have a 12-year-old son, and on a personal level, I was witnessing the way he was internalizing the historic and horrific events that we were repeatedly seeing in the media. And so many things hit me on an emotional level. Watching my son internalize that and seeing how it affected his mental health, I really wanted to join the chorus of voices that were enraged, quite honestly, about the events that we kept seeing at that time.
And so, McKay, your son, how old was he at the time?
My son, over the span, now he just turned 13, so he was 11, 12, but he's been a part of Black Lives Matter and this whole movement since he was like 8, asking questions,
Well,
knowing what it is, saying my life matters, saying, um, we grew
and
up.
where do you all live? What state are you in?
He was born in New York City in central Harlem. So at a very young age, he's seen things that were way past his developmental stage. And we recently moved to Boston due to my husband's job at Berkeley. Yeah,
Well, and sadly, you see a whole lot of racism in Boston.
yeah.
Unfortunately, it didn't leave when you moved. So I want to talk a little bit more about this because for a young black male, you say from age 8 now to age 12, these are the awakening years, right? When you come to understand your identity and begin to look at yourself in relation to others in the world. And we have seen young black males slaughtered by police. We have seen uh, many black males, uh, lose their lives for reasons that are inexplicable. And you don't even have to turn on the news much to see it. So I'm sure, especially given the inflection point of George Floyd's murder, that was the shot that rang around the world a gazillion times. I think for many reasons it was good because it woke people up, but it's the worst kind of good, right? You have to be awakened because someone you see murdered over and over and over again. I'm sure it was impossible for your son not to see it. Uh, how how was he affected by the magnitude of that?
Well, I remember a video that had gone viral of a father posting a video of his son seeing a police car ride down the street. And as soon as he saw the police car, immediately stopped playing basketball and ran to hide behind a car. And he was only, I think, 6 years old. And that was a video that went viral. It brought it broke a lot of people's heart when they saw it, but it was evidence of the trauma that the population of people were experiencing um, on a family level through mothers, through their sons, through the fathers, and it's quite traumatizing. And I wanted to acknowledge that that trauma and that sadness and pain, but also give my son a meditation, a way to turn it around and to say that doesn't define you, but you can always have a personal power to turn that pain into something beautiful. And and
And
that's what
and
this
was the song Phenomenon a result of that contemplation?
absolutely. Yep.
So,
Yeah.
Stephanie McKay, I'd like to play your song right now. Let's listen.
Thank you.
Hold on, let me get it to technology. Here we go. Black releases must be judged and denied by color you choose to see. Screams of rage inside he tries to rectify this lie to prove his humanity. Spiraling in sadness, so consumed with madness. Needs a place where he can breathe. It's time to celebrate his existence. Live his joy as resistance. See a world of possibilities. Possibilities. La 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 Text your liberation, sings meditation to create a brand new dream. Hear the ancestors calling. Let the dreams lay before you to inspire your resiliency. Rise up, stand up, you can do it. La 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 Wow.
Woo!
Yes. Yes. Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah.
How
Thank
did
you.
your son react to this song?
Oh, my son is my biggest fan. He's like, "Go, mom, go, mom," and
I'm your biggest fan too, Steph.
yeah,
You know.
he's such a beautiful soul. He's such a beautiful soul. He's always so supportive, and it was nice to have this collaboration with him because he's starting to explore his own artistry in music, and he was in the studio and he had ideas, and I welcomed his ideas, and he's like, "No, ma, you need to sing it more innocent, let me come in and do it," like,
Oh,
so it was a real collaboration, a family collaboration.
that's beautiful. And to grow something positive out of such a challenging experience. I want to talk about your son in relation to other young Black men today. One of the greatest challenges for mothers of Black sons is teaching them to be strong and confident and free when just being can put them in peril. I'm sure that that's a constant challenge for you, but what do you suggest that you do, and what do you recommend to other parents who are rearing Black boys?
I remember having a conversation with a mother of 4 sons, and every time I meet a mother who has multiple children, I always bow down because it takes such skill, executive functioning skill, to manage 4 lives, in addition to your own. And she was saying to me, what I learned, the advice I would give you, Stephanie, raising a young Black boy in America is they need a lot more hugs and kisses than you can ever imagine. Wrap your arms around them. And if I could go back, I would have hugged them much more than I did, and I would kiss them a lot more than I did.
Now, that is so interesting because we often think tough love is the way. Rules and regulations are the way. If you
Exactly.
teach them to be on the path of the straight and narrow, that's the way. But pure love, pure connection is what that mom was telling you.
Harriet, if I get one thing out of this interview, I want to emphasize how important that is because I literally just had this conversation with a colleague. We're both educators, and he believes in the hardline way.
Mm.
Nobody cares about Black boys. You have to teach them to be tough and strong from the very beginning. And they have to have a spirit of Teflon. And when I talk to the boys that I teach in my class, they're like, no, no, no. We want you to see us. We feel we are here. We want you to connect with us and hear our emotions. And when we suppress that, that's when our mental health feels like it's not stable. It's not, you know.
I live in Harlem,
Hmm.
and we have everyone. So every possible human being is in the neighborhood. I've lived here for a long time, so the community has changed over time. And I see many loving relationships between parents and sons in this case, because we're talking about young Black males. And I also see moms slapping their children upside the head.
Yep. Yep.
And I see young Black men on the corner selling something that's making people crazy. I don't mean, I even talk about weed. I don't know
Yep.
what it is. I see people lost who don't seem to have love in their lives. And I see moms lost, not knowing what to do,
Mm.
because sometimes they can't peel their sons back from the street, or back into their arms. And so for anybody listening who might feel lost like that, McKay, what else? Because you offered the music, you told me what that mama force said. I know they're hungry. What else can you offer to them that might be a salve for this time that we're in right now?
I think using each other as our best resource as far as just talking to one another, showing your vulnerability, and also finding places to help because there's so many resources out there, but sometimes you're just struggling so much to survive. You feel isolated, and throughout all of this, we've suffered so much loss through COVID. And so, you can isolate yourself. And I'm saying the one thing I would say is not isolate yourself, connect to your community and reach out to the resources that are out there and available for mental health issues.
Hey guys, you are listening to Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole here on WBAI in New York City. That's 99.5 FM and everywhere online at WBAI.org. We are having a very serious conversation that is stirring all of our hearts. I hope that the same is true for you as we're thinking about the future. And this project, this beautiful musical project, that I have two Stephanies here who are Stefany Calembert, who's the executive producer, and Stefany McKay, one of the 25 artists who are part of this compilation of music that is really addressing how we can be free, how we can move past uh, the racism that has crippled the world for so many years. And it really is our responsibility to figure out how to push past all of these challenges that we have and embrace each other. And music is powerful in that way, that it really can and does embrace people. It just wraps you up and gives you the experience of freedom when you live in the space of that music. I want to share with all of our listeners, it's Women's History Month. We are here together. There's not one single commercial on WBAI. It's just us together. We are listener sponsored. Everybody who is in the earshot is part of this community. And the way that we get to stay together is by the generous contributions that you make. And if you would like to, if you're moved to make a contribution today, now, you can become a BAI buddy, which is to make a monthly contribution of as little as $15 a month. And that will give you a copy of this beautiful compilation of stories about women, often in their own voices and other people speaking about them, women of all backgrounds who will inspire us. And they will inspire, especially if you have daughters. You want your daughters to learn about women power. You want your sons to learn about women power. This compilation of stories will definitely inspire you and them. It's a great talking piece. So you get that as a gift if you become a BAI buddy. You can call us at 212 209 2950. I'll repeat that number, 212 209 2950. You can also go online at give2wbai.org. That's the numeral 2. And just tell them that you want to be a BAI buddy in honor of Dreamleapers and Women's History Month. And if you donate at least $15 a month, you can receive this gift for March for Women's History Month. And so I want to go back to the Stefanys who have created this wonderful uh, album that, hello, worldwide release today. Black
Yes.
Lives from generation to generation. 25 musicians from the United States, the Caribbean, and Africa each compose a song to fight against systemic racism in the world. I know, Stefany Calembert, how exciting is it that this dream you had in the darkness of the pandemic is now being offered to the world? What does it feel like on this day, the day of your debut?
It is really, really special, to I think it's just a beginning. That's how I feel. We start something, and I want to do a lot more, and with the people, of course, on the album, because we will play live too. We are trying to put something in US for 2023, and we have a tour in November 2022, and trying for the summer, of course, to organize other things 2023 too. And so all these things, this conversation will continue live with the musicians that go on tour. What is, I think, very important is that every people on this album has his own word to say, and this to see all of us get together on one album, and everybody had his own touch, his own spice, his own art. Uh, um, for me, it's the best thing that could happen, and it's as far as music, it was even better that I could imagine, because they went really creative, all of them. Every song is different, and I couldn't ask more. They give all of it. They give it all. And for me too, even the people that did the artwork, the sound engineer, the mastering, I think we all give a lot for this project. And for me, that's the most beautiful thing, that to know we are together to create more things positive for this world, to make change. And some people are ready, some people are not, but I think we all are on this project. We want things to move, we want a conversation, we want our kids, because all the compilation, you have, let's say, the 75% of the composer that have children.
Mm.
So my wish also is to continue with the children of this composer, another conversation with documentary, or trying to see how we can continue this, not just leave it there. And I think there is a lot more beautiful thing to bring into this world. And Steph said the other day, uh, often we show the horrible thing in this world. We should show a lot more this type of things, what people do, what they want positively, the change they want to have, and give more voice to that. And the media are very important. And it's why also, to be with you today, to have this voice, also be able to speak about all this, is very, very important, and you give that room. So I think it's a collective work. We are a lot. We want to change. We are tired of this life. We want something better, and we want definitely equality. Equality. And move.
It's interesting, Stephanie, uh, when the protests were happening in the street, when people were marching and speaking up for human rights, for dignity after George Floyd's murder, that was a global march toward righteousness. At that time, a lot of artists had music coming out because that's a time when June, summer. There's a lot of music that comes out at that time, and I do a lot of coaching with artists, and I talked to a lot of artists whose music was coming out who were really nervous because while they were grateful their music was coming out, it didn't seem to be in sync with the moment. Just because it had been created before this phenomenon, and this moment, because that was a tipping point. And thinking about now, you created this after there was contemplation. Okay, now where are we and what do we want to offer to the world? And I can hear those artists in my head saying, I want to be in alignment with the moment. And that's what this feels like, that there's an alignment with this moment in time, with what has occurred in our world. Making it global makes it impossible for people to say there's only one little group of people over there, in Brooklyn or in,
For
wherever.
sure.
If you were to choose what some would call a marginalized community, others would not. But because it's global, it's people wrapping their arms around each other across the world in the same way as those marches in the streets were, that it was everywhere. Uh, what is your hope, Calembert, for this music? What is your hope that it might trigger in others?
I really hope, that people will think more, that it will make them think when they listen to the music, that also they listen to the whole album from beginning to the end, because there is a story also behind, and it's a long travel. And I really hope that this album will bring energy to many people that suffer, of racism, and give them hope, because right now the hope is really low. Sometimes I mean, everything is hard, and I cannot imagine, here I speak as a white person, but I can't imagine with all the past, of black people and being black today, what it can be. I cannot even take
Mhm.
that place. So already for me, all this horrible, let's say, world that feed only negativity in media, in life, between neighbors, try to take the positive thing and try to share something beautiful with people. That's the most beautiful thing we can do, and make a little step,
Yeah.
we don't need a big step, but if everybody make a little step, we will be able to move more. So this music, I think, will help different people to understand, or to move, or to keep a certain hope energy in their life, to advance, because it
And
does
we
to me.
we certainly hope that that will be true. And Stephanie McKay, your final thoughts. We have a couple of minutes left on, as an artist who's a contributor to this project and as a mother of a black boy. What do you hope that people will walk away from after they experience this compilation of music?
I hope for the mothers out there who are raising sons that it affirms their experience in some way, and also lets them know I see you and I feel the same pain and I'm struggling with the same things, but we're going to make it through this together. So I hope it will provide hope. And the whole project as a whole, I hope it inspires to keep the conversation going, because it involves a community of people to keep reiterating this narrative of hope and reiterating that this conversation and this experience exists, and it's a continual beautiful struggle, as everybody says. Yeah.
And how can people get this compilation of music? Where do they go?
So there is the website jamincolors.com, and you have, of course, all the digital platforms. You just wrote Black Lives from Generation to Generation, and you find all this track in different artists' profile. and also Bandcamp. So it's pretty much everywhere. It will be in shop, also vinyl, CD.
Oh,
Uh,
really? Okay.
everything, iris audio. So we wanted really to give access also to this music to a maximum of people on this earth. And what also I want to say is that on this album you have a lot of family link. You have brothers, you have twins, father and son, father and daughters, mother and son.
That's
So
beautiful. So I want to encourage everyone to get this album. Believe it or not, our hour has zipped by. I want to thank Stefany Calembert and Stephanie
thank
McKay.
you. Thank you both.
Congratulations on this new piece of work, Black Lives from Generation to Generation. 25 musicians from the United States, the Caribbean, and Africa who have each composed a song to fight against systemic racism in the world. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Harriet Cole.
Harriet.
Thank you, WBAI. All right. Thank you.
Peace.
Well, thank you all. Thank you for listening. Thank you for spending this time with me. Please do listen to that music, get it wherever music is available, and also remember to make a donation to our beloved radio station. Until next time, have a great day and make it count.